winner, yeah, 40 to 44.
Hi, I'm Tina Klein with Balanced Running. I'm also the head coach of Balanced Running. Balanced Running is the only official certified training program and only official certified club in Kennesaw, Georgia. Balanced Running also serves the greater Atlanta area. And with me today, I'd like to introduce Caroline Dunn. Caroline is our newest member of Team USA who happened to win gold, won a silver medal. So we're really excited to have an interview process today with Caroline, because we want to talk to her about what it took to get there, what she did to train, the mental toughness, mental awareness, focus, training, etc. So Caroline, and feel free to chime in when you'd like to, but I had a couple of questions for you. So when it comes to training, when did you realize you wanted to run races?
Oh, that's a great question. I've always enjoyed these community races, those 5Ks and 10Ks you see all over the place on social media. And the first couple ones, and this is quite a few years ago, I would walk them, and my time would be about 55 minutes, and I would have a really good time at these races. And I would say, the races, these 5Ks and 10Ks that you see out there, don't be turned off if you think they're super competitive, because they're not. Most 5Ks will welcome walkers with open arms.
One of the things that, as Caroline mentioned, runners will welcome you with open arms. And I've been coaching Caroline for several years now, and it's such a great pleasure and honor. And my job as a coach is to look at potential in the athletes I coach. My job as a coach is help you, the athlete, reach to that next level. And I felt that Caroline was ready to compete at that world level. So with that said, I also wanted to ask you, in regards to training, what were your thoughts when I asked you to think about competing at the world level?
I thought you were completely out of your mind. If I'm being totally honest, yes, I thought you were crazy. But we just started discussing discipline and strategy. And when we went through the whole strategic discussion of what I could realistically do, then it started making sense. Okay, where was I at that point in my time? I was 5 years into running after never having run in my entire life, right? So I trained for 5 years. Last year I ran the New York City Marathon. I was a distance runner. I'm an endurance person, and I have I worked a lot of my mental toughness last year thanks to the New York City Marathon. And when we got down to strategy, I realized that, hey, I wasn't going to win the 100-meter dash. Okay, let's just be honest. But when we looked at endurance events and what I could realistically do, then it started to make more sense.
And it's right. So you were talking about the marathon running and distance running. And running, of course, there's running at all levels. But one example that I remember watching you run, and I thought you did fantastic, was the Greyhound race. As you know, I rescue greyhounds. My husband and I rescue greyhounds, and we rescue Weimaraners. And I started a race called Athletes Helping Athletes Greyhound 5K. And it's open to walkers and runners of all abilities, all levels. And it benefits a great charity of rescuing greyhounds with Southeastern Greyhound Adoption. But tell me a little bit about the Greyhound race, the 5K.
Well, yeah, number one, they do welcome all walkers and runners, all levels, all abilities. And what's the best part about it is that the charity comes out with their greyhounds. And if you just want to come and pet a bunch of greyhounds, they let you do that in this race. Now, so that's a little added perk that a lot of 5Ks don't offer, is a plethora of rescued greyhounds for you to coddle and pet and just love on. But it is a great charity, and yeah, it's not super competitive. But I did win third place Masters female last year. If I don't mind tooting my own horn about that race.
Well, she did, but you did awesome. And Caroline, you got to toot your horn, because no one gives you a medal. You have to earn your medal. Every finish line, no one gives you the finish line. You have to cross that finish line, and you earn your medal. So with that said, going back to a little bit about the question is, when did you realize you wanted to run races?
Okay, yeah, so I started out by walking 5Ks, 55 minutes. I was really proud of myself, okay? And then when I started getting into running, we were signed up for a 5K one day, and my husband looks up all the times from the previous year, okay, the day of the race. He looks up all the times, and he says, Caroline, if you just run just a little bit faster than your last 5K, you have an opportunity to place in your age group. He should not have said that to me. That was a huge mistake on his part, all right? Because I just became a zombie. I became this racing zombie at that moment, okay? I just became fixated on winning something, anything. I wasn't gonna be picky, okay? At any race, at anything, okay? So no strategy, okay? Okay, this is before I met Tina, all right? I had zero strategy. I went out and I just ran as hard as I could. And then, as I crossed the finish line, I laid down on the ground. It was great. But it was all worth it because I ended up winning first place in my age group that year. I got this trophy made by a local artist, and I cherish that trophy until this day. I still have it. I love it. And it's not something I could have purchased. It's not something I could have gotten any other way.
That's right. So and that's awesome. And that's the beauty of having the races. I run races, as you know, and I run races that are some charity races, but I have to get permission from my coach. Just a sidebar, every good coach has a coach. I have a coach that I'm accountable for, and of course I coach Caroline, and she does awesome, but she realizes that I too have to do what I have to do to ensure I follow a training plan. So with that said, I'm just curiosity, did you ever run track or cross country as a youth? Because you have a talent. When I saw you, I was like, that girl, she's a track runner. So did you ever have any experience or did you run in high school? Or
I had zero experience until past the age of 35. I had never run farther than my mailbox before the age of 35. So why did I have zero experience running? Because I'm an Asian female. That's why I had zero experience running. Is back then we just had so many stereotypes about gender and about our race that they did not see the possibility of an Asian track and field athlete. My parents, they're Asian. They never had a track and field athlete in the family, so they never thought to enroll me or let me run or anything. So I had to do sports that were more acceptable for Asian females to do. I took a few tennis lessons. I took a few ice skating lessons. And then when we got to high school and it got a little more serious, I was in the band and the math club. And then in college, all I did was just worry about my GPA in electrical engineering. So talk about racial stereotypes and where they lead you, and then talk about what your God-given talents really are and having that opportunity to explore those.
And that's exciting, and you touched the nail on the head. Having that stereotype, I never realized that. Growing up in Texas, but by the way, we're both Texans, and growing up in Texas, in my area, it's like, why would you want to run? There's no sense in running, and so okay, I took home economics. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I can tap into the talent, so I could totally appreciate where you're coming from because you are talented. And like I said, when I saw you run, I was like, that is a track athlete, and so many other areas too, cross country, which we'll get into that. But my next question is, so you've got people that are runners that like to run, as you said, you would run to the mailbox, come back, and you were just exhausted, or you'd run, but you were a casual runner. So when did you decide to transition from being the casual runner that just goes out to run or goes out for a jog, and then transition into actually challenging yourself to your full potential?
I don't think I was ever really a casual runner. My husband started running at least 5 years before I did, and I just wanted to keep up with him on one of his training runs. And it was really painful. It was really horrible trying to keep up with him on one of his training runs. He's a lot faster than me, and I wasn't in shape. I was in terrible shape when I started this. I'd never run before, and so basically I was like, okay, how can I want to do this as a family activity. I want to do something together, but I can't keep up with him. So then I had to get real serious about my training and eating right, doing the right things, getting a training coach, and working on working on my form and being more efficient as I learned how to run. And then I got into doing these community races and going for these age group awards. I got addicted, okay, to age group awards at these community races, okay. I'm just a naturally competitive person, and the community. These community races are a lot of fun. Just everybody's high on endorphins, So it's a fun event to just attend, if nothing else. But then for me as a competitive person, it turned into a little bit more, just because I like to win things.
That's exciting. Now, so when we talk about winning things, what did you ever do dog races? Because I know you had a dog. Did you ever do any fun races with your dog, or just stroll with your dog?
I have a really funny story about that. So back when I was a 38-minute 5K runner, okay, so I mean, this is an all-out effort for 38 minutes to cover 5 kilometers, which is not very good, quite honestly. I'm more of a 26-minute runner now. So back then, when I used to try to do these races, I used to have a dog, and he was a miniature Italian Greyhound. Okay, so he's a miniature Greyhound. It's called Italian Greyhound, is the name of the breed.
What was his name?
Dash.
Aww.
It was Dash, yes. And we would go out for walks, and he would pull and pull and pull on the leash and pull. And I would just try to just walk, and then he would pull, and so I'd run just a little bit, thinking that would appease him. I would think, okay, if I just run a little bit, he will get tired, and then he'll go back to walking. No, he pulled for 10 miles. Okay, he just would not let up on this running. Okay, so anyway, so then I started getting into 5Ks. I was in terrible shape, right? So it took me 38 minutes to run a 5K, but I went to a 5K that would allow people to bring their dogs on the 5K, as long as your dog wasn't aggressive or anything,
on
right?
A leash.
Yeah, as long as he was on a leash and was a nice dog. This particular 5K I was in would let you bring your dog. So I am working all out effort for 38 minutes, okay, to finish this 5K, all right? And I get to the end of the race, all right? I cross the finish line, and there's this woman waiting for me at the finish line. Okay,
Was she a runner?
Total stranger.
Was she running also?
She finished in 26 minutes.
Oh, okay.
She waited there. She stood at the finish line for 14 minutes, not waiting for me. She waited for my dog to finish the race. And so that she could hold my dog after the race. She just stood there. She didn't know me. It's like we had never met before. So she just waited at the finish line for my dog to finish the race, and then was like, "Hey, can I hold your dog?" And then started coddling my dog, and then got pictures taken with my dog. So this is why I encourage you, if you like dogs, go to the Sega Greyhound 5K in October every year out in Kennesaw, Georgia, because then you can just pet all of the dogs, okay? You don't have to wait for some stranger to cross the finish line with
You don't have to take the dog home with you, but you can adopt one.
Yes, and then you can meet dogs that some are potentially adoptable, some have already found homes, so
Right.
they're not all up for adoption, just to be
right. And they are racing dogs. They're rescued racing dogs, 100% purebred racing dogs, and all the proceeds do go back to the Greyhound adoption. So it's 100% volunteer based. So thank you for running and supporting that. And your little Dash, in memory of Dash.
Yes, yeah, he was famous. Yeah.
So I have another question. So when did you decide to transition from the community race runner, because now you're running races in the community, to competing track and cross country at the international level?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I just started this year. So this year was my first year as a member of Team USA as USATF. Let's see. I really, honestly, you approached me at the, earlier this year, when these races started coming up, you encouraged me, hey, let's compete at the state level, let's just get started with that. When you first approached me, I said no. Okay, I just flat out said no.
I was like, no.
Yes, I just flat out said no. All right. But something happened to change my mind that really had nothing to do with
and I wasn't really like, twisting your arm. I was like, look, you've got this.
So, but I said no because, and it had nothing to do with running. I was interviewing for an executive level job at that point in time, and I spent over 100 hours in, I would say, a 3 to 4 week time period in going on interviews, following up on interviews, going through the entire process of an executive job search, and at the end of it, I got the job. Well, I got a written offer. I got an offer for an executive position in writing, and we were in the process of negotiating, and then they just pulled the job offer. They pulled everything. All that work was just gone, just like that. Boom. And I decided, hey, I can be really bitter and be really horrible about this, or I can turn this into something really positive. And that day was the day I signed up for USATF. That was the day I signed up to be on Team USA. I registered for that state meet. At that point, I think it's called Georgia Relays. There were actually two meets that were that I signed up for that day. One was Georgia Relays. The other one was the USATF Georgia Association meet. So I signed up for both of those. We, of course, strategize. You go to your coach and you say, hey, all right, so there are a lot of different events at these meets. And your coach tells you, okay, realistically, here's where you need to be. Here's where you can win. Here's where you're not going to win. Okay, I wasn't going to win the 100-meter dash. I wasn't going to win the 200-meter dash. But
she's a distance runner. She's a distance.
But I'm a New York City marathoner. So let's look at the longest distances they offer at these meets. So first meet, the Georgia Relays. I ran the 3,000-meter track, and I won my division in that one.
Won gold.
And then we went to the state meet, and there was the 5,000 meter and the 1,500 meter, and so I ran those and placed in my division.
So tell me, running, why did your coach tell you to run? Well, not encourage you to run two of the races, back to back, the 3,000 and the 15, or 5,000 and the 15.
To get me out of my comfort zone. What's the right answer? Why did my coach is standing right here? She's asking me, why did my coach ask me to do something?
Did you learn something?
Did I learn?
Well, the thing is, because your body had to go through fatigue. You had to race two races because going at the international level, you've got to be on. And when you know that you've got to race and you've got to be able to let your body recover, and you race again. So did you feel that when you ran the 5,000 and the 1,500?
I wanted to be challenged. I didn't just want to go out and do something, right? So first of all, number one, listen to your coach. They're there for your best interest. They're there to help you succeed, right? And then number two, I wanted to do something different than these community races, right? So I'm used to running community races. The race is one event, and then you lay down on the ground and
throw up,
and then you're done. So I wanted to do something more challenging. So I'd never run track before, so I got used to running on the track. And there is a technique to running on the track that's different from how you're going to run a road race. We're going to cover track versus all these different types later on in this interview. But I wanted that quick turnover to learn what it felt like to, okay, I'm going to go out for 5,000 meters. I'm going to go rest for an hour or so until they call my name for the 1,500 meters, and I'm going to go out hard for 1,500 meters and really learn from that what it feels like to be able to do back-to-back events. And that's really, that maximizes your gold medal opportunities as well too, because that's a separate gold medal. So instead of going to a community race where you just win one thing, you could win several items if you can keep your body up for the duration of the meet, right?
Right, absolutely. So you touched on something about training and getting ready. So obviously it's not only the physical training you have to do, but there's also a mental focus, some mental toughness that goes with it. So how did the mental toughness play a role in your training?
Well, I learned about mental toughness when I trained for my first marathon. And when you're out there and you're running 20 miles as a training run by yourself, okay, you're going to be running and your body at some point is going to say, no more, I'm done, I'm out, okay, I'm done with you. And then you've got to turn into your mental toughness and say, okay, I'm going to push through this. I'm going to push beyond my limits. I've got to get through this. And so you're training out there for 20 miles. It's really, your body's going to say, no, I'm done, I'm out. Let's get in an Uber, let's just go home and take a shower. And then on marathon day, your body's going to say, I'm done. Let's finish. Let's DNF this. Let's go out and get a drink somewhere. Your body should say, I'm done. And then you're going to have to mentally say, okay, no, I'm in this. I want to get to the finish line on my own, and here's how I'm going to do it, and really push yourself beyond your physical limits or what you thought your physical limits were prior to that.
Right, right. I mean, and it's true because mental toughness plays a role, a vital role, because not only you're working with your physical muscles, but the mind is also a muscle that you've got to train. It's all part of the training from head to toe. So, being that mental toughness plays a role, how did mental toughness help you? And when it comes to track workouts, and when did you realize you had to go to the track to do the speed workouts?
Okay, I like running on the track because it's perfectly flat. Yeah. So basically, you start this training and you start saying, I'm going to compete. You work with your coach, and your coach tells you, okay, you got to do 4 by 800. What does that mean? Okay, I've got to run 800 meters 4 times at a certain pace. Okay, so she said I had to run 800 meters within a 4-minute time period, under 4 minutes. All right, so what I realized as I was training, as I was trying to do this on the road, is if I'm running 800, especially here in Atlanta, if I'm running 800 meters, half of it or all of it's going to be uphill. And I'm not going to make my 4-minute goal because I'm having such a it's really challenging for me. So what I learned is if I did it on the track, at least it's perfectly flat, and then I'd be able to make my 4-minute goal. So it normalizes out those hills, those uphills and downhills, because if I'm running 800 meters straight downhill, that's pretty easy, but I didn't really get my workout.
Yeah. Well, you get a workout, it just won't be the workout you needed or you should have done for that day. So just a little quick question. So can you explain what's the difference? I mean, I know what it is, but for folks that don't know, they're watching this. So what's the difference between track, cross country, road running, and trail running?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm not sure I know the answer, but here's my perspective on it as somebody who didn't run in their youth, right? Okay, so road racing is the most common type of racing. So if you sign up for these community races, they pay so many cops, so many first responders to close the road, and you are literally running down a road. All right, and to me that's the best kind because generally speaking, it's pretty flat. There might be hills, but at least the terrain is flat.
Asphalt.
Asphalt. You're running on asphalt. Okay, so I really like road racing. I live in the city, and it's all roads in the city and sidewalks. So that's what I'm trained on. So I'm prepared to do that. Next is cross country. Now this is something that people do as youth, as kids, and my perspective is, cross country is running on grass and sometimes wet grass, and I had to purchase cross country spikes in order to be able to race cross country so that I could get a good grip on that grass.
Slippery grass, yeah.
I did not want to get out there in my road racing shoes on grass and then slip and fall. Mm-hmm. So I had to get those special shoes with the spikes so I could grip on the grass, and it helped me run a lot faster on the grass. Yeah. Then we've got track racing, which is on the track. So most tracks are a 1/4 mile in circumference, or 400 meters. Mm-hmm. So then you're just going around and around the track, and there's a technique about leaning into the track in order to get it. But generally speaking, track racing is the easiest. It was the hardest and the easiest. It's hard because you're just going around and around.
You lose count.
You lose count, and they don't let you wear headphones while you're track racing either. No. All right. So a lot of people like to wear headphones. I'm included in that. While I'm running these really, really long distances. In track racing, when you get into this competitive sport, no headphones. Okay, just want to let y'all know that was a big change for me. But to me, it's pretty easy because it's so flat. And you're just kind of going around and around. You can see where you are. You can see where your competitors are at. So I like track racing a lot, actually. And then of course trail running. Trail running is over rocks, in my opinion. That's how I look at trail running. It
Rocks
could be
and
mud.
roots.
Yeah, it could be mud. It could be a lot of rocks, a lot of tree roots. You're going through a trail, I would say through the mountains, or through not city areas, more suburban areas. Now, I don't do trail racing because I'm terrified of tripping and falling. I could just see myself, as clumsy as I am out there, like getting my toe, stubbed on a root and then falling over. No, I'm not discouraging y'all from trail racing at all. Those are different pair of shoes.
Right.
Those are
different sport, different technique.
Yeah, different technique, different shoes. Since I live in the city, there's not much opportunity for me to practice trail racing, so that's not something I really do.
So how did you prepare for the 8K cross country and the 10K in Toronto for our world championship, regional championship? How did you prepare for that?
Well, first of all, I want to preface my answer with I had at least 5 years of running experience at that point in time. So this wasn't an overnight thing, right? I ran the New York City Marathon last year, so I was very, very accustomed to doing a lot of training and really putting in a lot of effort, right? So it was about discipline. It was about making a commitment and really going through it. Now, with that said, it was through the encouragement of my coach, Tina, right here, that we even went down this journey, right? We went through, we looked at the events, we strategized as to what I could realistically win, and then she put together a training program for me, and it said, okay, on Monday you'll do this, on Tuesday you'll do that, and it was 5 days of training. I woke up at 5 a.m. 5 days a week in order to complete the training that I needed to complete in the short period before the actual event. But I was already trained up for, I could run a marathon. I could run a really long distance because before that I was training at least 4 to 5 days a week already. So it wasn't like, oh, okay, let's go out for this, world regional and let's start training tomorrow. It wasn't like that at all. I was already running 5 days a week. The training for world regional was just a lot more intense. It was longer runs, harder runs, faster runs.
And we ran together too. I mean,
Yes.
I'd run with you and push you, and you thought I was crazy. I'm like, come on, let's go. And
it was tough. It was really tough because she runs a lot faster because, she's world ranked and All-American and everything. So she's just like taking off, and I'm like, oh, where is she? And then she has to kind of run a little bit slower, so that I can run behind her. So that was tough. That was really, really tough training when you have to train with a world-class athlete here.
No, but you did awesome, and you were just along the way. It was just learning how to pace yourself, learning how to grip, learning how to get mentally tough, and that's one thing that I think you found, like very early on, that mental toughness, because you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, and then the other thing we did to prepare is that you got me acclimated to the rules. There's so many rules when you're trying to compete on that international level. So you sent me the anti-doping website and said, okay, before you put anything in your mouth, every time you're thinking about putting something in your mouth, go to this anti-doping website and make sure it is not an illegal substance.
You're racing clean.
Yes, yeah. So I had to be really, really careful about what I ate and drank.
Or even putting topical creams and stuff like that, because there's always...
Yeah.
If you're using some kind of creams, again, that can work against you. But you're right. But in nutrition,
there's a lot of rules with USATF, and then there's a lot of rules with the actual World Regional Committee themselves. They'll put out a competitor's handbook. I read the entire handbook cover to cover, so that I would be prepared as to what was required of me, and I had to follow all of these rules to the T. You have to wear a uniform that clearly states the name of your country. You're representing Team USA here. You're representing your country, and you have to have an official you have to have an official Team USA uniform in order to do so. And they had quit making Team USA uniforms at that point in time. I went on eBay and I bought a uniform on eBay. Is what I had to do. I had to get real creative.
Right, because the thing is with Team USA, the uniforms change every Olympic year, so we've got to use the uniforms or the Olympic year uniform, so you can't compete in older uniforms. So you've got to compete in the official Team USA gear. So, but you were creative. You went to eBay and you found what you needed to find.
Well, you can't compete in the T-shirt that you wore at the community race either. Okay, you can't compete in a T-shirt that said "Big Pumpkin 5K." That's a big no-no.
Right. So, on the events, what events did you compete in, and why?
Okay, I competed in the 10-kilometer road race and the 8-kilometer cross country. And it was part of the strategy that we came up with. And because there is a strategy in being part of Team USA, which is we are trying to go for the most number of medals as we can as a total for Team USA. They are going to report that at the end of the race. Okay, Canada won so many medals, and they were these colors, and Mexico won so many medals, and USA, this is how many medals we won. So that is our goal, is to come back home with as many medals for Team USA. And so we went through that as to how we could be successful for Team USA. I was kind of tempted. I wanted to race the 5,000 meter. Okay, but when we talked about it was really going to be too much for me to do all that. And I really had to pick and choose and say, what's my goal race, and be realistic. And so those are the two races I did: the 10-kilometer road race and the 8-kilometer cross country.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And explain, if you will, when you talked about the rules. So can you explain what this is her bib number? I'm so
yeah,
excited.
these are okay. Yeah. So first of all, when you get to the event, they have rules about when you can pick up your bib and when you can't pick up your bib.
You have to declare.
We had to register for everything a month in advance. And these community races I'm used to doing, you could register, on site, right there. Okay, no, we have to pay and register for everything a month in advance by a certain deadline, and then you've got to get to the race. Then you've got to show a passport or your driver's license to pick up your bib, to make sure that you're not racing for somebody else, that it has to be you, right? So we get to the event, and I show my driver's license to pick up my bibs. I'm racing as myself, of course, and they give you 3 bibs.
Did you wonder what they were for?
Yes. And I look and I say, okay, why do I need 3 bibs? Where am I going to put all these bibs? So most places only give you 1 bib. These people gave me 3. That was very nice of them. Okay. So what it turned out was that only one of the 3 bibs has a timing chip on it. A timing chip is the electronic way that they know how fast when you started and when you finished. Okay. So,
and making sure you didn't cut the course, or
they have,
or the lap count.
They have checkpoints along the way, and you have to pass each checkpoint in the right order. Otherwise, you're disqualified from the race because you cheated. Okay, so they want to make sure you don't cheat. So the one with the chip goes on the front. Okay, it's the most important one, right? And then the second one, this one doesn't have a chip, goes on your back so you're easily identifiable to all of the people spectating and all the officials of the race.
Well, and also too, if you notice on the back, it has W40.
This is my actual age, and this is my age group.
Right.
So it tells everybody knows your age group that you're competing in, so that when you see another competitor, you know if you're actually racing against them or not.
In that group, because it's a race within a race.
Yes, it's a race within a race. And then the third bib is, I think, for your bag or something. So it's kind of a
bag check.
Yeah. So they do have bag check there. Then you want to attach your bib to your race. So I have a funny story about Yuleen here. Yuleen is the gold medalist for 5,000, for the 10K. She's amazing runner. And so, it was before the race, it was before the 10K, and one of the other athletes from Puerto Rico, said, hey, I didn't get a bib with a timing chip on it. And Yuleen was trying to, help her out. And so, so she's got the 2 bibs that don't have a timing chip attached to herself at that point in time. And Euleen's like, it doesn't have a chip. You're not going to get counted in the results. And
this is, by the way, this U.S. Obviously, we're competing with other countries, but a fellow U.S. teammate is helping a non-U.S. teammate in this race.
Well, Yuleen is an amazing sports. She would help out anybody, whether you're racing against her or not. Okay, right. She wants to win square and fair, too. Right.
Yeah. But the point is that we're there together, but we also help each other out, even though we're competing against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so we're trying to. So there's some confusion with this athlete around her about her bib and wearing the right bib, because there are 3. It was kind of confusing. And then Yuleen, the detective that she is, looks at this athlete's bag and realizes that she pinned the bib with the timing chip to her bag. And Yuleen blurts out really loudly, "Is your bag gonna run the race?" And then Yuleen, the sportswoman that she is, she's such an athlete, goes around and starts checking everybody else's bibs. So she comes up to me, she's like, "Okay, I need to see your timing chip. Let me see your timing chip." And then goes around to everybody and makes sure everybody has the proper, everybody's doing everything right, because she wants to have the best race possible.
It is. I mean, there's so many rules, and if you're a first timer, never being at one of these, it's really tough because there's so much going on. You're just it's overwhelming. I mean, even to this day, when I compete, it's very, very overwhelming.
Yeah. So Yuleen is.
Yeah.
Yuleen is such a so shout out to Yuleen and really shout out to Tina and Yuleen because I'd never competed at the international level before. They really took me under their wing. I don't think I could have done it just reading a book or reading the website or something like that. It really takes passing this tradition down or taking an athlete under your wing and showing them the ropes in order to be able to let somebody new compete, in my opinion.
Well, we want you to. We want you to. I mean, I'm going to be passing the baton to you in the future, so you got to be there. So, you talked about doing your first race. How did you feel after winning your first race? I mean, not knowing if you won or not, but how did you feel after your first race, after the 10K, then realizing that you medaled? Was your heart racing? Were you nervous? I mean, how was that feeling? What did you feel?
It was really exciting, but it was really weird. Okay, because so I've never done this type of race before. So yeah, you're really not sure what's going on, right? At the whole time, right? So it started the race. We're all lined up. You know, the gun goes off. We're going down, and I started way too fast. Okay, so I'm dying by the end of the race. Okay, and I've really slowed down. You know, more than where I really needed to be there. So that's a learning opportunity for me. Is everybody takes off really fast at the beginning of the race. I needed to hold back, and that's a lesson learned from that event for my next event. Right? Is raise your pace and not just try to keep up with people who aren't even in your age group, who aren't even that you're not actually competing against in there. So, so that's one lesson I learned out of that. So I'm out there. I'm racing for bronze. I know I'm in position to win a bronze for Team USA at this 10K road race, and suddenly I see the number one seeded person in my age group, the number one seeded woman in my age group in front of me.
What country was she from?
Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, she's from Canada, and I see her kind of limping along, kind of standing there, grabbing her leg, and I'm like, what is she doing here? And so she was a little bit hurt, and so when I saw her, I was like, I caught up to her. I was really excited. I caught up to her, and then I ran past her thinking, okay, she could start running again at any moment and pass me. But if I create enough distance between us, then if she starts running, then she can't. I will have created enough distance where she can't catch up.
Is that what you're doing, your surges?
That's what. That became my goal. Was to just to create as much distance as I could. I mean, I surged when I saw her. I mean, that was just like, oh my gosh, I caught up to the front runner. You know, and I'm just going for it at that point. But yeah, then you got to hold back a little bit. So you've got to surge 30 seconds.
That's
right?
part of the training. That was part of the strategy. When you see someone surge and create the distance.
Create the distance.
That's right.
So that when they start surging, you make things harder for them.
Exactly.
That's a true competitor right there. So long story short, it's actually a very sad story. She decided to drop out of the race because winning a medal was not her ultimate goal in her life. She's actually signed up for the New York City Marathon this year and couldn't risk a bigger injury and not be able to fulfill her New York City Marathon dreams. So unfortunately she did decide to drop out of the race, and so I did win a silver because she decided to drop out of the race. So what I learned out of that is that you're training as an athlete. You want to train to your full potential, but not beyond your full potential. And I think that's what she had done. Is she was just putting in too many miles, training too hard, and unfortunately, it all came down, crashing down on her as she was supposed to win a gold medal for Canada.
But also, too, keep in mind, it opened up that venue for you to come in to get to move up in the rank there for the race, because again, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can be first, second, and third, but anything can happen, and you can easily win the race. So you've got to fulfill and train all the way to the end.
Yeah, it wasn't, so she stopped at 2.5 kilometers. It wasn't and she had definitely beat me for that 2.5 kilometers, but it wasn't a 2.5 kilometer race. It was a 10K.
Right.
So I still had to finish the entire 10K within the, And it was really more about place than about the time at that point.
Right.
Yes.
So tell me about the medal. So when your first medal, tell me about the medal and how did you know that, the medal ceremony for
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So I won silver at the 10K. And this, shout out to Yulene again. So we're all kind of standing around after the race, and I mean, it was a moment of, there was so much camaraderie because it was the first time I had met the other Team USA athletes. So we're all, congratulating each other and just being very positive. Everybody's high on endorphins, right? And so we were just having a good time chit-chatting. Suddenly Yulene comes up to me and says, "They're about to start the medal ceremony. Come with me." And that was part of the, it was so great to have people to take you under their wing in this, because I would have totally missed it. I was just standing there. And so, yeah, I, of course, ran off with her. And then they called, as soon as I walked up, they called my name and as the silver medalist. And I ran up there and I was so thrilled. It was so exciting. It was my personal Olympics, right? We watch the Olympics every 4 years, and you don't really think through like what it takes to get up there, how much sacrifice and what you had to do. And so suddenly I'm on the podium and it's my starlight moment, right? Everybody's taking pictures of me. I feel like a total celebrity. It was awesome.
Oh, but you did. And it's going to continue on. You're going to have more successes, and that's what's exciting, to be able to see you do that. So one of the things also that I wanted to ask about, you mentally prepared for your 10K. How did you mentally prepare for the 8K? Yeah,
so the 8K was 4 days later, and then you really have to think through, you really have to visualize your success. All right, I knew I was up. I could potentially win a gold medal for the 8K. So winning the silver was just awesome and just a dream come true, absolutely. But the thought of coming home with 2 medals and one of them being gold was it was too much for me almost, right? It was almost too much excitement. Surreal. Yeah, it was too surreal. I knew I was in a good position. I knew, I could do it. And really, I had to make sure that I was in the right mental state. I'd visualized my success, and I had to have followed all the rules, make sure I didn't get disqualified, make sure that I had my racing spikes. It was the first time I was racing in spikes. So make sure that I got to the race on time. They're not just going to give you a gold medal, okay? You've got to actually do the work in order to get the gold medal and actually make it and actually, win your race. How
did you feel? How was the course? What did you think about the course?
Oh, the course was great. Yes, I love the course. Yes, it was everything it was cracked up to be, right? So there were hills, there was mud, there was grass. It was awesome. I love the course.
So did you get any rest the day before? What kind of rituals did you do before your races?
Okay, number 1 ritual, no new things before the race. All right, and so, when you're training, there was one practice you made me do where I had to wear the outfit. I had to wear my Team USA outfit because I needed to practice running in the official race uniform.
Right. It wasn't the day before though. It was
no. It was like 3 weeks
on the track and
on the track. Yes, when we were practicing, when we were doing our training the month before,
and also
I had to practice with my uniform. That's what we get down to when we say no new things. Right. Your uniform can't even be new. Right. Okay, nothing. Everything has to you've got to go through your process. I've got this whole process about I like to eat oatmeal for breakfast before I go out for a race. So I'm staying in a hotel room now. I've got to figure out how I'm going to cook oatmeal in my hotel room before a race. There were some creative methods of cooking oatmeal in my hotel room that I managed to do. So we were in Canada. This is hilarious. I like oatmeal with maple syrup in it, and we were in Canada. Fortunately, maple syrup is pretty easy to come by in Canada. So yeah, I went to the local grocery store and I bought a little jar of maple syrup, Canadian, pure maple syrup to go in my oatmeal. It was great.
Oh, awesome. So and we talked about using. Well, I even gave you a pair of shorts because again, that's one of those things. You want to practice
in the exact outfit,
right? And the shorts that I gave you were like, what? No, this is.
Yeah. So I practiced in one outfit or these different shorts, and I was like, no, this is not feeling good. Let me try these other pair of shorts. But I had enough time to do that before the competition to know literally exactly down to the last detail what I was going to wear. Also timing. Okay, I'm not really I'll be honest, I'm not really a morning person. So in order for me to do these races, I've got to back it up, right? So this is the time the race starts. This is the time I need to be there. Let me back it up to, let me add my travel time, how long it's going to get there, how long is it going to take me to get to my travel spot, and everything like that. So it's really a multi-step process. You got to back it all the way up to the time I need to, by the time that my alarm needs to go off in order for me to be on time for the race.
Right. So, share the feeling you had when you were on the podium for the 8K for your medal with the American flag draped around your shoulders.
Oh, it was a dream come true. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So Tina brought the American flag. Thank you very much for bringing the flag. And yes, I was holding it up, and I mean, I was on top of the podium.
It's my military flag. So.
Yes, it was. Yes, and it was. And, we watched the Olympics every 4 years, and it was my, a personal Olympic moment.
It was awesome to watch you there, get your medal with. I was like, it was awesome to watch that, and especially when I get to see an athlete I'm coaching, and as a coach, it's just, of course I don't have kids, but I would imagine that it's like a parent watching their child, like, oh, there's my baby, and like, oh, there's my.
It was your work coming to fruition.
It's like, oh, and there's plenty more to come. I know that. So what are some changes that you're going to adjust for 2020 for World Championships next year?
Well, how about you ask me what I plan to continue doing, right? Because I already train 5 days a week, and I'm, and I think that a lot of us, we get into running and we're not consistent. I see a lot of people who aren't consistent about it, and for me, it's about consistency, because otherwise your body's yo-yoing and you're not getting the full benefits out of what you've put into it, right? So if you treat your body like a temple for a month, and then the next month you go back to really terrible habits, you've erased all the work that you've done, right? Yeah. So even if I'm gonna, so even after the event, I didn't stop running. Right? I mean, maybe I ran.
Well, you took some time off, a little bit of time off, but not.
I ran,
sat on the couch.
Instead of running 5 days a week, I ran 3 days a week.
Let your body recover.
For the and I didn't run as fast.
Right.
I ran slower training runs, and I ran 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week. Mm-hmm. But I didn't just completely stop running for 2 weeks at all. Right. And then you still have to watch what you eat.
Exactly.
Yes, because you're undoing the work that you did, right? So what I plan to continue doing is being consistent, going out for 5 runs a week, minimum 4 runs a week, and listen to my coach. I plan to continue listening to my coach, train hard, and work hard.
Yeah, well, you got a training plan coming up that's going to be pretty intense. So, just saying. So what's next for athlete, gold medalist, silver medalist Caroline Dunn?
This year, I'm competing for the long distance running Grand Prix. I'm in second place behind Yuleen right now. so in order to compete for the Grand Prix long distance for Georgia, is this for Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. You've got to do 4 out of a designated 5 races. I've done 2 so far. I've got 2 left. I'm registered for both of them, and I'm training up to do well in those 2 races. And win, or not win, but come in second place behind Yuleen for a distance record, Grand Prix for a Grand Prix.
And you're also, didn't you also?
I'm also applying
for the Fidipides Award.
I also applied for the Fidipides Award, USATF Fidipides Award. This is for people who run a lot of races, which I do run a lot of races, and all your community races count toward this goal. And it's based on a point system, the number of miles you ran in a timed race, and you can submit all of that, and if you run enough races you can get a gold, silver, or bronze depending on how many miles you covered in a total number of races for an entire year. Mm-hmm. And I think I think I accomplished the number of points I needed. I accomplished by July.
Oh wow.
And you have until December. You have January through December to get to collect points. I collected all the points I needed by July.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, how did you manage to make this a family event? Was it the training that Paul watched you do day in, day out? How did you persuade him to run Toronto with you?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes. Let's see. So my husband has always been very, very supportive of my running. And he will go around to strangers, total strangers, and other athletes. He'll go around and say, my wife should have competed in high school because she's so great. He goes around and tells random strangers that I should have competed in high school because I would have dominated. All right. So he believes in me. All right.
Well, he's an awesome. Just on sidebar, he's an awesome guy, and he's an awesome athlete himself. But go on.
But let's talk about how the story transcended. So I'm meeting with my coach right here, and she's saying, okay, hey, you need to go to World Regionals this year. It's in Toronto. Here's the information. Let's go. Let's talk about this. And we look at the dates, and we look at this. And we look at all the logistics of it. And then I've got to go back home to my husband and have kind of the same conversation with him to say, okay, here are the dates, here are the logistics, here's where it needs to be, when, where, how. And I don't know how he's going to react, quite honestly. Okay, I don't know if he's going to be supportive or be right. So he's totally supportive, of course, but he's also a negotiator, right?
That does not surprise me.
So he says, okay, yes, you could do this, but I need to add my own. I need to get something out of this too. I need, there are going to be some stipulations on my side for you to get what you want. I need to get what I want. There's got to be something in it for me. So number one negotiation point, he says, we are going to go to Montreal for this. The race is in Toronto. He says, we're going to go to Montreal for 4 days prior to your first event, and we're going to tack on this Montreal vacation ahead of it.
That's a pretty good negotiation.
Yeah. So, and then he says, okay, when you compete, I'm going to compete too. So he's like, okay, I'm not going to he said he wasn't going to strategize, with coach here on what races he needed to run. He's like, we just need to do this together. I'm just going to compete in the same races as you. That was it. So anyway, so those were not really terrible things to ask for. This
negotiate.
Is husband of the year here. Okay, when he could have negotiated for a lot worse. He could have asked for anything, but so didn't really have to twist my arm on any of his little stipulations here. But what I realized out of that experience was that we had the means to pay for the trip ourselves. I mean, and you look at these Team USA athletes, you look at the Olympics, and you look at what it takes for them to get there, and a lot of it has to do with money, unfortunately. Financial means. We have to pay for these trips ourselves. Team USA doesn't, just fund everybody who wants to go out and win a gold medal. Right? So we were really lucky in that we had money saved up, and we were able to financially finance this ourselves. And I saw other athletes who were driving for Uber, selling cookies in order to make ends meet, in order for them to compete, to represent Team USA. I mean, that's tough.
It is. I mean, luckily you were able to combine a family vacation and also compete, and that's usually what my husband and I do. Is we'll make it a family. My husband doesn't compete. He's very, very supportive, but we make it into a vacation / my competition. But when I'm there, I'm focused on my competition, and he's focused on vacationing. So knock yourself out. You're paying the bill. Get us here. I'm good, honey. I am good. But so tell me.
Wait. Yeah. Let's talk about what he did. He did compete.
I want you to brag on Mr. Paul.
He did compete. He won the bronze medal in the 10K road race. And in order for him to win that bronze medal, he had to beat out a Jamaican runner. So I guess the Jamaicans aren't exactly distance runners; they're more sprinters. Yeah, so maybe he had an advantage that way. But I mean, oh my goodness, he can now go down. Now he can go around and tell everybody, "I beat a Jamaican." He beat a Jamaican.
Well, he earned a bronze. He earned a bronze medal, and but also too, like when you guys would come out to train, he would also do the training. And he was diligent. It's like, all right, this is what we got to do. And the beauty of you guys running, when you come out and run and you train, you guys are doing your workouts. I mean, so he's not like trying to stay with you, but you're focused on yours and he's focused on his, and that's what you need to do because you're both competing at obviously, you for the females, him for the males, but he was out there as well, training and being diligent and putting in the work.
Yes, yeah, so he's very consistent with his training, and he works hard, and he ran a sub 2-hour half marathon earlier this year, so he's put in the work.
But he also, to give him a lot of credit for the cross country, I mean, he ran the cross country without spikes, and I was like, oh dear. I said, oh, But he still did. Was it like he fourth? Was he fourth in his division for the AK?
Yeah.
I mean, he was
did,
still. Had he had spikes, he probably could have gotten a little further up. But he still. Well, let me back up, because I remember passing him, and he was running with someone else. I'm like, dude, run the tangents, run your race, don't help anybody else out. And he was trying to help someone run.
He was helping a fellow Team USA athlete, Aisha. He was pacing with her so that she could win her gold medal.
No, you can't do that. That's against the rules.
But we're running it. What happened to we're running as Team USA?
We are, but it's still against the rules. I mean, you can run, but you can't, because you can get disqualified. But he was out there running, and then when I said run your race, then he picked it up and he went, because he realized, I need to. That's when it clicked. The rule books clicked in, and because again, you're helping your fellow team members, but you can't aid and assist, because that's considered aiding and assisting.
He was not aiding and assisting.
No, he was not. But it could have been perceived that way. Yeah.
Just for the record, he was not aiding and assisting another athlete.
No,
but
he was being supportive.
He was being, but they were trying to run at a specific pace. That was their goal. Was to just and so he was trying to just run at a specific pace. So that's not breaking the rules. To say, okay, I want to run at this pace. Like everybody's out there doing that. I want to run at this pace too. Hey.
But you raise a good point, because had someone else from another country seen that, they could have said, well, we want to protest. So that's one of the things where you really have to know the rules.
You have to know the rule book.
Because if someone would see, like, hey, well, I want to protest because he was assisting, and that's when you have to be careful when it comes to international world races like that. But he is Paul's a fantastic athlete, and he has a caring heart, so he wants to make sure everyone is good. Are you good to go? And so he's out there helping. But when I pass him, like, dude, run the tangents. So that was my, like, get going, and it's like, oh, okay, and he's just started picking it up, and he ran his race. He did fantastic, but yeah, he got a fourth.
He did really well in the AK, awesome. And yes, but he didn't want to buy the spikes, so if he's going to do this again, I think he'll buy some spikes now that he's learned that it is pretty slippery to get out to cross country is not road racing.
No.
Yes.
And it was really cool, because didn't he help another athlete from another country?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's right. So this is a very international affair here, and we were kind of hanging out near the registration table, the official tent, and an athlete from Mexico had some questions for the race organizers. Now, this is in Canada, so the race organizers are Canadian, so she had a lot of questions in Spanish that she wanted to ask, and then so finally the Canadian says, hey, does anybody speak Spanish? I need a translator. We're not jiving here.
I wasn't around, otherwise I would have translated.
Yeah, and then my husband Paul came over, and he did an amazing job translating Spanish to English, and vice versa. So he spoke Spanish and he spoke English, and then they got all their questions answered, and that so it's not about beating somebody, it's really about being your best, and the camaraderie to make sure everybody has an equal opportunity to win.
Absolutely. So what advice would you give someone who's never run a race before, or that wants to begin? I mean, whether it's a beginner runner who wants to start running with no experience, or someone who, like you started running but you realized, maybe I can do this a little bit faster, challenging myself. So what advice would you give someone?
So there's this famous quote from Catherine Schweitzer. She's the first woman to run the Boston Marathon. She said, if you're ever losing faith in humanity, go watch a marathon. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's start by not even asking you to run, okay? I got my start. I like to watch races. I like to go out to these 5Ks and walk the 5K in 55 minutes. I enjoy doing that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. You're out there.
Yeah, and these races, as I keep on saying, everybody's high on endorphins. It's a very positive experience, even if it's just a 5K. Everybody's really excited, happy, healthy to be out there. And then if you kind of get into it, it's kind of like, I could be one of these people running the race. I could do this.
Right.
And if you put in the time and the training, and you want to win a race, or if you want to get competitive, and you're dedicated, and you've got that mental toughness, and you've got the discipline to put in the work, you can do that. Even if you've never, ever, ever raced before in your life. I mean, that was me. I had zero racing experience, and then I kind of, just enjoyed going to races. And then I said, okay, what if I got serious about my training? What if I got a coach? And what if I got serious about what I ate and how often I trained and what I trained? What could be possible? So I went from zero to literally winning a gold medal at a world regionals.
And a silver medal.
And a silver medal too, yes.
Don't forget the silver.
Yeah. So I would say, I would say just try it. And don't even try to push yourself too hard on the first go around, because you don't want to get disappointed either. Right? Do within your means.
That's why you have a coach.
Yes. Be realistic.
Right. And again, as a coach, it's our job to help people set realistic, reachable goals, because there's stepping stones to get to that next level. And you've heard me say this before. Training will never get easier, because you're always going to get better, because you're going to raise the bar. Okay, once you get here, we're going to raise the bar again. Once you get here, we're going to raise it again. Just like we did with training. It's like, come on, let's go. And it will never get easier, because you're always going to get better.
It's a progression, right? So I walked a 5K, then I ran a 5K, then I really ran a 5K to win something. Then I started running 10Ks, and then I wanted to run a half marathon, and then I ended up running the New York City Marathon. But I worked up to that over many years.
Right. So what would you give advice to someone who would say, I don't consider myself an athlete, or someone who thinks they're too old to run?
I never thought of myself as an athlete, right? And I grew up under all these racial stereotypes of what Asians could be. And then it wasn't until I got out of my comfort zone and really started exploring running before I realized, what my potential was in running, right? But there are things I could do even if I had, let's say I have zero talent running, right? Okay, so there's still things I can control. I can still show up on time for practices or for races, right? That has nothing to do with my talent, okay? I can still try my best. I could still be the best runner for myself. As a runner, you can still set your own PRs. You're always trying to set that next personal best for yourself. It doesn't matter what other people are doing.
Right.
I could still be disciplined about my training. I could still wake up at 5 o'clock every morning and train my little heart out, okay? And then I could, and do the right thing, right? And that's one of the big lessons out of being an athlete, is always doing the right thing, even if it means you're losing. Let's go into a real competition. I didn't want to win. I didn't want to win because I did the wrong thing. The sweetness of winning is so much greater when you really competed.
And not only that, but also too, if you can't get that run in at 5 a.m, I mean, there are times when you run late at night. It's like, I got to get my training in, because let's face it, we work, we've got full-time jobs, or people that are full-time parents, or they're juggling different careers, juggling family. So there's a time where you've got to get the training in. You either get up early, or you get it in later in the day, or you pack it in between the middle of the day, but you get the training done, and that's the discipline. But you're right. So that's really interesting that you would say, like, yeah, it's just about showing up. That's not talent. It's just showing up and being there. I think that's awesome. So how many new friends did you make on the world circuit?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks to the magic of social media, you make friends and you get to keep in touch with them after the race. Let's see. Victoria Brown, she won first place. She won the gold medal in the 10K, and so we're now friends on Strava. Right afterwards, she did a triathlon, and she came in fourth. And she did awesome. She's a pretty awesome athlete. So it's fun to keep up with these athletes, both off and on the track, and also socially as well. So I made a filter for Instagram, and Brent Diaz from Mexico saw it, and he showed it to all of his followers, and I got this huge Instagram push one day thanks to Brent Diaz. So thank you, Brent Diaz, for featuring my Instagram filter on your profile. And then we also met a model from New York City. Aisha, yes.
Aisha. She's a doll.
She is a polarizing figure. Hi, Aisha. Hi. She's not afraid to express herself. on social media and in real life. So we basically see each other every day on Instagram and Facebook. She has a very glamorous model life, of course.
She's gorgeous.
And it's so much fun to watch her. So yeah, thank you, Aisha.
Bye, Aisha. Hope I get to see you soon. Definitely soon. And I hope you're in medical school by now. Or was it law school? It was one of those two. It was school.
Yes, of course, yes.
Oh, she's awesome. She's fantastic. So, my final question, is it ever too late to start training or start a running program?
I would say it's never too late. I would say I'm an example of that. I didn't start running until after 35. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's and I think it's more important to start training after as we're getting older, especially, when you're a kid, your metabolism is going crazy. As you get older, you need to be keeping yourself healthy and really, even if you start with just walking.
Right.
You've got to do something in order to keep your body going.
And mental too. I mean, it helps mentally, and it's the camaraderie of friends, regardless of what level. Because again, with me, I've got so many different levels of running groups, and it's great because you have the camaraderie. But
you're in this together,
right?
Okay, running can be miserable some days, okay, but at least you've got each other.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be miserable, yeah. But bottom line, it's always better to be a participant than a spectator. So you don't want to be a spectator on the sideline saying, well, I'd like to be doing that. I wish I could do that. Well, wishing won't get you anywhere. You gotta do the work. I mean, and it took me 5 years, and I'm still learning. And again, I have a coach who keeps me accountable, and it's just like, oh dear Lord. And there are times when I just don't want to do it, but I'm out there doing it because it's important to me. Plus, it's a health benefit, and it helps with mental, helps stave off dementia. Simple studies have shown, but it's also makes you feel good. The feel good drug, endorphins.
the legal
Legal
drug. Yes. Well, that's a big thing with us. Anti-doping.
That's right.
Running clean. Yes.
Right.
So endorphins are 100% legal.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for being here, you guys. Thanks for watching, and give us a shout out. Go on our website,
balancedrunning.com,
or go on Instagram. Give us a shout out if you have questions. If you have questions, throw some questions our way, and we'll toss them at you. Or give us some questions you want to answer, or anything that blows your mind, or wants food or whatever it is. So thank you again. It's awesome.
Thank you for having me, Tina.